Hi, welcome everyone to our Mastering AI series, and today we're at AI in customer service. If you have any questions, drop them here, and I will be your host today. So, a little bit about me. My name is Soraya. I'm a founder and CEO of sales marketing at IQ. And with my combined experience in sales, marketing, market expansion, as well as consulting, I've worked in different countries with B2B brands such as Software AG, F5 Networks, and Saudi Aramco. And today I am accompanied by my founder, my other founder, and also my partner, Ziggy, who is going to introduce himself later on. So, about iCool, we're a company specializing in applied AI, and we bring automation to create a better world, a healthier community. And together with our customers, we design, prototype, and create customized AI software. Not only that, we also provide a platform for individuals and professionals to upskill themselves in AI. Next, so what is Mastering AI? Mastering AI is a series of 5 sessions to support professionals to adopt AI in a very strategic manner, and we have designed it to be very deep and also focus on demonstrating how we would solve real world challenges in various use cases. So if you have missed our first 2 sessions on sales as well as marketing, they're already available on our YouTube channel. We had to cancel the third one, therefore there's no documentation on that. But nevertheless, we will have today and the next one on Tuesday at the same time. So from this point onwards, Ziggy will take over because he will discuss about AI in customer service, and I'm looking forward to also discuss with you all. So Ziggy, the stage is yours.
Cool, thank you. And yeah, a little bit about myself. Co-founded IQ together with Soraya. Been in the larger field of data and AI, previously data analytics, machine learning, and data science for 10 years now, right after uni or actually during university. And it's been a long journey. And I'm mostly focusing on how we can get the best out of the technology. And one of the usual talking points when it comes to businesses is, well, what are the use cases and how can we, with the dedicated function that we are working in, make use of AI best, and how can we master that topic? And this is why we thought we should do a Mastering AI series, and with a dedicated focus on a specific function, such as customer service as it is today, and show as much of like prototypes and demonstrate with data that we use and real AI tools in order to get you a feeling of what it actually means to master AI in service, sales, marketing, software development, doesn't matter. All right, now this is probably best suited if you are, well, that's obvious, working in customer service, or actually also in product or marketing, where you try, based on feedback that you receive in regards to your service tickets or surveys that you run, improve your product all in all. And of course, today is also well suited for, let's say, entrepreneurs or leaders who carry a lot of responsibility or who want to be at the forefront of improving their product, service, whatsoever, and therefore are interested in what are the frontiers in customer service when it comes to the usage of AI. A little disclaimer about how you should frame your expectations. We say you should treat this as a tutorial. So this is how we design it. We want you to pick up the exercises and examples and try it yourself, really. You can, during the session, of course, always drop a question in the chat, or if you see this in YouTube, then just in the comments, and we will, of course, get back to you on this. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you could stop the video at any time you want, read into the text, and also maybe if you want to check the presentations, because we of course share the material for you to check after the session and then read through it. Therefore, we always try to not be wordy, but the slides should be explanatory or self-explanatory, so that you can make sense of what's going on. All right, in the last session, we have set a stage of a fictional case. You will probably still recall if you have seen that. If not, just go back and watch the recording. It was about a B2B company that offers software as a service application, particularly a CRM application for customer relationship management. And last time we set up everything, like with the how to sell this CRM platform to our customers and new customers. Since we are young, we of course wanted to grow, and we had a compelling offer, didn't we? We had these key features of this unified data capability, where it's very open to a lot of interfaces, big library of connectors and whatnot, so that using Sphere or Connect Sphere, you can pull in all of the data from ERPs and sales tools and marketing automation and whatnot, and then use it for AI related purposes, such as predictive analytics, segmentation, recommendations, or some alert settings, what so on. The smart engine, as it was called. So this was the setup, and we want to use this fictional case again, but this time with a different focus. The focus is, since the last time we have sold our SaaS application successfully, we now have a growing user base, and we want to support this user base. And they, of course, have a couple of questions, or let's say they challenge us in some way. And here are 5 just examples that we, when being part of the customer service team, could come across, such as customers who find it challenging to integrate stuff. So trying to connect the Sphere CRM with our niche marketing automation tool, but I'm hitting API errors. Can you help me? Maybe some advanced features which just raise questions. Can you walk me through the settings of the complex automated workflow for a new onboarding sequence? Maybe some configuration issues, how to create custom fields. Maybe some more straightforward troubleshooting. I think I found a bug when trying to segment users based on X criteria, or just these, repetitive, low complexity queries. Where can I find my latest invoice? We would come across all of this, and of course we want to help our customers. So as we uncover that over the course of this session, this is the agenda that will also guide our, let's say, learning objectives. We want to understand how we can find the right use case as we are searching for how AI can help us with all of these challenges. We also want to understand how to decide for the first project, because particularly if you've come across a couple of ideas, you want to understand what is the next best idea, how to get started with prototyping. It's the next question we will address, and we will actually show quite a lot, as well as the demonstrations of how this could look like. I have in total 3 demos that will show very explicitly how AI can help with 3 selected use cases, and also how to evaluate when you went prototyping and you made your first experiments, you have some AI generated responses. How can you actually deal with it? All right. We will start with finding the right use case. So in order to open that topic, I want to start with a concept that I take from Andrew Ng. Andrew Ng's so almost a living legend of AI with his a deep learning organization, founded startups, professor at Stanford, and so on. And he has this AI flywheel that he really that he likes to um, take as a setup to understand what are the core mechanics at an AI system or an AI application or service. So what we need to and we want to use this understanding of this basic mechanics of and this framework in order to draw inferences from this, how to come up with an AI use case. So a little scenario here, how this works. We can look at this example. So let's say we start by using AI. So it usually starts with some application. And that can be some AI powered knowledge base that would get us answers, or just a simple chatbot for common questions about our CRM. And we get some support responses quicker and more accurate, just some little help. And this is what we provide to our users. In this regard, our customers. So because our AI tools provide quick and helpful answers, they might be simple at the beginning, but they improve over time. More customers use these tools and get their issues resolved, and more interactions happen. And that leads to the next effect here. It is that with every question that is asked in this AI-powered customer service tool, whatever that is really at that point, every solution provided and every chatbot interaction, every successful self-service resolution becomes a data point about how customers use our product and what they need help with and how they potentially found our content helpful. And this fuels the next step, AI. With all of this new interaction data, our AI tools get smarter and better. So think of the knowledge base. The more it grows, the better it can understand user intent. The chatbot can also learn from handling more complex queries. Or we might identify patterns to proactively create new support content when it comes to our articles that we share online and so on. And then the better our content, the more people use it. The more people use it, the more we have the interaction data, and the better the data, the more data we have, the better the AI. And then the better the AI, the more users, the more users, the more data, the more data, the more AI. And this is why it's called the AI flywheel, because it has self-reinforcing effect. It might be hard to get it going at the beginning, but once it spins, it is likely that it just continuously increases its speed as you feed it with more interaction. So this we can have in mind as, let's say, different categories or anchor points from which we can draw our ideas for use cases in the larger space of AI in customer service. And here are some possible entry points. or like where to start actually with these possible entry points. And this is what Andrew Ng would also say: define your goals first and focus on the users, because this is where everything starts. Your AI has to prove value before it would create usage data. And this happens on the user end. So you can at the beginning start with, like, if you want to create an app or if you want to provide an app, what would it actually be that is delightful to your customers or can really improve some outcomes, such as the first contact resolution rate, or how could we make the self-service portal dramatically more effective? Could we like have something like an expert diagnosis with every single encounter with the support system? How can we proactively value add? You can ponder about such questions. Well, you can also turn your focus to the users themselves. So, do they face some repetitive tasks? Maybe on the end of your users, the end user, but also if your customer service agent is the users, what do our agents get stuck with, right? And which is a time killer. So for both, for our end users as well as for our customers, you can think about that. How can we proactively reach out to our customers? How can we have consistently high quality answers? How can we capture the voice of the customer, and so on? So these are just, let's say, exemplary questions to get your inspiration going. And this would, if you then have this user focus at first, can lead you to a couple of use cases. We have 6 here that are, let's say, exemplary. One could be, well, we give it some title, could be coming from the agent overload. So what if our support agents could get 30% of their time back because repetitive and simple questions are being taken care of? What if the I'm stuck scenario for our customers is resolved and we could help them with onboarding, trying new features? How about the information hunt? So we all know that we need some information, but we spend way too much time in a scattered knowledge base or internal notes or some past tickets to find the right answer. Proactive prevention. So could we identify some customers who always run into the same problems and then reach out to them in advance? Consistency, yet another very interesting point. How can we ensure that every customer receives the same high quality, accurate answer to common questions, regardless of which agent they talk to or what channel they use? And voice of the customer. Our customers are constantly giving us feedback through support tickets, chat, survey, and whatnot. So how can we systematically analyze all of this qualitative feedback to understand their pain points and maybe even more? So as you can tell, like, wow, there are quite a few ideas. So how can we approach this evaluation of how to decide for first project? And this is particularly relevant if you're working in a team and you need to coordinate your efforts. And we have discussed this in more depth in the very first session. Here, I just want to show the evaluation matrix. If you are interested in the whole use case evaluation process, I suggest that you go back to our first session of the series, of the Mastering AI series. And here I just want to highlight that at least you should work with 2 axes, and this is economic value and technical feasibility, and then evaluate what is highly valuable to you and what is technically feasible. These are your first priority. There are always those cases that are highly valuable but hard to realize, and then you need to check how to reduce the complexity to make it more like easier to realize that. And can also be those cases that are not so valuable, but just really easy in terms of realizing it in technical ways. And then here, of course, the question is to have it done very efficiently. So how can we reduce our investment into that so that the value that we gain out of it is not eaten up by the investment that we need to put into it. If you have some scattered ideas about a use case and you don't really know how to structure a use case, then ask a large language model. That works very well. In order to demonstrate how easy that can be accomplished by a large language model, we have actually set up a little hub on Hugging Face, a space where you can run a little app here. You can see it. It's our use case structure app where you upload a file, and then this little application would structure it in like problem idea, who are the people that would benefit from that, what's the outcome, and how could it be done. And then you can chat with some AI assistant to get your ideas sorted out. But you don't have to use this. Just in general, if you want to have your thinking guided a little bit, just use an LLM with your overall use case exploration. All right, now coming back to our 6 ideas that we have already created with the user focus, let's pick one of these, and we have chosen for the voice of the customer idea, and see how that could actually be figured out. So a tiny demo of the voice of the customer use case. The larger idea is that we have support tickets, we have some chat logs or snippets of these, and we have some survey responses. And what we want to do now is to systematically process these unstructured feedback data, with the tickets and chats and surveys. And we want to transform it into structured data. So why not some tabular overview, so that we can easily pinpoint like what are the most common pain points and so on. All right, let's see how we could do that. I have mocked up some data. This is, as our whole use case is of course fictional, this is also fictional. So we have 3 support tickets here, 2 chats, 3 server responses, and we can quickly read into the first support ticket, which apparently is about the API integration with MailChimp. Apparently doesn't work. Here, John Doe, a marketing manager, is highlighting that it doesn't really work as per our documentation, and he keeps getting authentication failed errors. He double-checked the API key, and they need urgent help because they cannot get going with their marketing campaign. So this is one example what you could find here. So our first step would be some initial processing of the feedback item by item. So for each piece of this raw feedback, it could be the ticket, it could be a chat, it could be a survey response. We want to have it, let's at least identified what is the main topic here and what's the overall sentiment that we get. And here's how we could set it up just using prompt engineering and a pre-trained large language model. So the system prompt in that regard, so a system prompt is always the base setup of a large language model or a chat assistant. It's fairly easy. It's just an AI assistant that we define here for our ConnectSphere CRM solution. And the task is to accurately extract and structure information from raw customer feedback and should focus on identifying key issues, sentiments, pain points, and features mentioned that could be related to a sphere. And once this is set up, we can, in our prompt, put the raw feedback. This is the first support ticket that we have just read, and we add a little instruction to it. And the instruction is also very easy. It just reads, analyze the customer feedback item above and extract the following, a main topic, and a concise phrase that would describe the core subject and the overall sentiment, positive, negative, neutral, mixed. And I have, for this case, used a GPT-4o model because, well, it's a fairly efficient model, yet still intelligent. I could have used different models, to be fair, be it Google's Gemini, be it Anthropic's models, be it open source models of a medium or large size category. I trust all of the models to have provided similar results in this regard. So don't take this as a commercial towards using the GPT-4o model. It's exemplary. And what do we get out of this? It says that the main topic is that there is an API integration issue with MailChimp and the overall sentiment is negative. All right. So actually, that was very easy for the system because the subject line was already API integration issue with MailChimp. So it just has chosen a shortcut, I would say. Still, it is correct. The next thing that we could do is to have a more detailed extraction of what the feedback is, item by item. So maybe we want to have a better categorization. We want to have the pain points extracted and maybe the features related to our software product. We want to also understand what components of our software are actually affected. And we don't change anything about the system prompt, so the overall setup is still the same. Also, we don't change what we feed the model with, at least from the beginning. You see that I still paste the support ticket here. I also paste the result that we have just generated. And this is all attached to a new instruction, which says that I want it to extract information in a given structure. I want to have a category. I want to have specific pain points, the impact, sphere features, and external integrations mentioned, if any. And this is also described a little bit what it's supposed to be about. And then we receive a structured output, in this regard, a JSON format that we can then use to translate it into a tabular structure. So here the category is integration issue, specific pain point is authentication failed when setting up MailChimp integration using the API key method. The marketing campaign is stalled is the impact that is described, and the feature that's mentioned is the API, and the external integration is MailChimp. Okay, fine. We're okay with that result. And if we do it for every item that we have in our ticket system, in our chat logs, in our server responses, then a tabular structure forms, and this could, for example, look like this, right? Where we then can understand that, for our, let's say, if we wanted to do some very simple analytical effort here, that we have negative, negative, negative. We have 4 negative sentiment feedback items here. To be fair, there are 2 positive ones. Brilliant, not too bad. Then we could also start counting what are the components that are being mentioned the most, what are the external integrations that are somewhat causing trouble. We could also go and analyze the specific pain points in order to translate that into potentially new features that we want to create. We can use this data now as it's being structured. All right. That's not bad. We got our result. But that also raises a question, because you have seen me now doing things like coming up with a demo and prototyping things and creating results. How do you actually do that? So how to prototype and experiment in this setup? And our recommendation is to get started with experiments as quickly as possible. That is number one. But just build enough to understand whether your initial assumptions were right, or you don't need to create the 100% solution in order to get a quick feeling of whether you're going into the right direction. And we're actually lucky these days, because it has never been easier to create AI applications. And starting simple has become a low-hanging fruit, let's say. And how does that start simple look like? Prompting and prompt engineering with potentially a couple of examples. Maybe you can add some information that you have taken from the ticketing system, such as you have seen me putting there some ticket data, and potentially iteratively refining that. But what's very important is you should focus on pre-trained large language models. You don't need to go down the route to fine-tune models in a post-training effort or so. This is a lot of effort in comparison to just going with prompt engineering. And this can usually be resulting in the solutions that will at least give you the first indication whether your initial assumptions were right. So don't go into training or fine-tuning. If prompt engineering is so central, how to do that is the right subsequent question. We actually had a whole series of 5 sessions on prompt engineering with the Prompt Lab. It's also on YouTube. You can also look it up. And the first session was dedicated to basic prompt setups. So how do I set up my prompt, structure it? What are the components in a prompt? How should the sequence be? And this is the slide that I've copy-pasted from there. And there are just a few things that I want to highlight, and I want to forward any other questions to the in-depth series that we made on this. And it is that you at least should have a clear mention of what is the goal and the instruction that you want the model to perform. And it always helps if you have some context or examples, sometimes also the role, what sort of expertise you need from the large system. I mean, like the foundation models are humongous in terms of the knowledge that they have captured, and sometimes you just need a very specific expertise. You should also mention that. And there's something that you will find with my prompts is that the context information, so the tickets, for instance, they will always come first. And that is because if you have a large context, it is working better to put them first, because the systems process your prompt, and if it's a long prompt, it becomes more relevant from the top to the bottom, and therefore if the instruction comes last, it's top of mind, let's say. It's because of the attention mechanism that is central to the whole architecture of the models. And then also output format, you have seen me asking for a JSON output and I received it, can also improve results reliability. All right, now that we understood a little bit about how to prototype, we may get excited because we have seen what we can draw in terms of use cases from the users category, but there is also the data category. Maybe there's something there as well. Let's look into it. What could be potential questions that we could tickle our minds with? We could think of maybe the support ticket history, or maybe there are some patterns there. Maybe the chat or call transcripts about customer needs could be interesting. Maybe there are some, in our self-service platform or so, there are some search queries that could be interesting, or potentially in terms of how we resolve issues, the resolution paths for common issues. Maybe there's something, we don't know yet. Maybe there is some knowledge gaps with our customers, with us as the customer service users ourselves, and we can see that in how quick we respond to tickets or how easy it is for us to resolve something. And maybe there is some insight that could emerge from linking the support data, so customer service data, with product usage data, if we have some data that is related to how users actually use our product. Well, interesting questions. And that could then lead us to, again, 6 use cases. They are very closely related to the points that I've just mentioned. So are the tickets, the chat and call archives, the self-service searches, the resolution paths, knowledge gaps, support, and product usage data. And you already have seen it with the highlighted background here of this tile with the tickets. This is what I want to show you. So how could we use our support ticketing system and its entire history or the historical data that is in it to find some patterns with that? So another tiny demonstration, the tickets treasure chest. How could that look like? So we have a support ticket system with a bunch of different tickets. What we want to do is basically we want to connect it with a pipe or with a data pipeline, and it should serve us as an external knowledge pool in order to look up this data, look this historical ticketing data to uncover all sorts of insights from our sphere support. Some data that I made up. This is all mock-up data. It's exemplary in that regard. We see that we have 12 different tickets here with the ticket ID, when was it created, resolved, the status of it. Everything is resolved. There's just one open. What's the priority? Who was assigned? What's the customer's company? Customer segment is here as well. The issue type, was it a bug, task, problem, question? What components are affected? So is it the API? Is it the AI engine? Is it workflow automation? Is it something else? User interface potentially. There's a little short summary. The resolution time is there, and then customer satisfaction scores are here as well. So, well, that's not too bad. Nice set of data. And now our idea is to set up a system again that is linked to this overall external knowledge pool, and having that context top of mind, we can ask some questions. So I'm now setting this up manually. So again, my system prompt is that I actually copy paste. This is absolute manual work, right? So I'm not even working with a real RAG system. It is just me copy pasting the text as a comma separate value format, the table as text into the context. And here you see something that I do here with the context tags. This is XML syntax that works really well to structure your prompts. So this is a pro tip, I would say. And I do a similar thing here since I started up there with the role and the tasks. I also define the tags here. The role is simple. It's a data analyst, AI specialist, and the task is also quite straightforward. I want it to identify patterns, trends, actionable insights related to these ticket categories and resolution time and customer segments and whatnot. And I wanted to provide insights that can help Sphere to improve products, process, and customer satisfaction. And well, then I just started to ask some questions. And I wanted to understand, like, what's the overall ticket volume? What is the distribution of the issue type? What is the distribution of the components? What is the average resolution time? What's the average customer support, customer satisfaction score? And then I had a look at what I got back. And neatly structured response here. We have 12 tickets. That's correct. So you see me fact checking right away here. Then the distribution of the issue types I also asked, and it says that I got 4 tickets as bugs, and that's not true. It's 3 actually. Also, if you would add up all of this, this would result into 13 tickets. So 4 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1. So it's just 4 bugs, and it made an error. Maybe because the model overall is not smart enough, or the way how I have set it up is reaching its context limits. But anyways, distribution by components, it's claiming that we have 3 API mentions. I was only able to count 2. The rest is correct though. And the resolution time is correct. This is not correct. The average customer satisfaction score, it's 40 here, and then as it divides 40, 4 by 11, the score is 4.0. It should have taken 40 as the total score. So yeah, therefore you can already make up your minds like, these systems are not always right. So if I was to check that, how do I do that actually? And that will bring us to the next chapter, a little bit of theory again. So you see, we are always juggling the balls between the demos and understanding what's actually going on. And now let's look at how to evaluate a prototype if we see something. And what I want to show you here is again an example. The main providers out there, be it Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and others as well, but these 3 are strongest in this. They all provide evaluation frameworks on their platform. The evaluations framework of OpenAI is also open source. You can you can find the code for it on GitHub and so on, and you can use it as a Python package, for instance. It's just an example for you. Why do I use this? I want to show you what testing criteria you could use in order to check the responses that you have received. And this is what you can, for instance, create with the evaluations framework of OpenAI. Again, it's just an example. You can check for factuality. So is the generated result as closely similar to a given reference that you were having as a ground truth, let's say. Maybe there is some semantics that you want to check for. You can also check whether the sentiment or like the tone of the response is okay. You can check for particular text. So string is a text. So if the model's response includes a specific text, you can also check whether it's a valid output format, JSON or XML, for instance. Check for the text quality, and so on. So these are some ideas on how you can actually define test criteria, because if someone says that you cannot test the responses of large language models, and it's not true. You can in fact test it. Now back to our beloved model of the AI flywheel, and you for sure already grew a little bit impatient because we did not look into the AI category, and let's do it now. So if we look into the AI category, of course, here we focus on what's the newest kid on the block in terms of technology, what are some new AI capabilities that just came up, such as agentic AI. How can it help us, right? And it can be so ubiquitous. Andrew Ng, for instance, says that if data is the new oil, AI is the new electricity, to highlight how multi-purpose, versatile of a technology it is. So we could wonder how natural language processing could help us understand our chats, how Gen AI could draft something for us, whether we could potentially predict something, such as like low satisfaction scores, or whether a given support ticket gets escalated quickly. Maybe some categorization AI could help us with. Then knowledge discovery and search. We have so much data here, then AI is for sure somehow intelligent enough, or there are some algorithms that could help us to see through all of this data. And yeah, maybe we could also do some sentiment analysis real time as our support is interacting with a customer potentially. All right, all of these ideas could lead into a couple of use cases. Again, we have 6 of them that are more, anchored in the idea of us applying AI. Some lower hanging fruits, categorization and routing. So can we categorize the incoming support requests with more accuracy and route them to the agent that is best specialized to resolve that? Maybe more on an analytical point, the prediction of the fact of whether a ticket gets escalated, because just of the nature of the ticket, then we don't need the ticket to sit somewhere where it's not supposed to be. We can escalate it quicker. Maybe if we know satisfaction scores tend to be lower with a certain category, we give it a little bit more attention. Such things can be predicted. Natural language processing, just really understanding complex and multi-intended questions that we get. Maybe also understanding the sentiment of a given, potentially even real-time chat or the transcripts of a call. And the newer kid on the block, generative AI, potentially we want to transform our internal and external knowledge base with some truly intelligent search engines, so that they can generate new knowledge on the basis of old documents. And maybe also content summarization. So we have a lot of content, such as a ticket history, which is very long, and we want to have it summarized and translated into an article or some other piece in our knowledge database. And that is something that we want to look into. So this will be our last tiny demonstration: content creation and summarization. So let's imagine the following scenario. We still have our ticket system as before. Now, so far we have looked at the ticket, let's say, rather superficially. We've just categorized it and made sense of what are the most prevailing tickets. Now we want to look into the detail. And we all know these tickets that just have way too many comments. I'm saying something, colleague saying something, another colleague's throwing in their 10 cents, and customer is getting back with some idea and just going back and forth, back and forth. We want to summarize this long ticket history into quickly getting the context so that you don't have to read all of this. And then what we want to do next is we want to generate a draft for a draft of an article for our knowledge base, which is like our product documentation, technical documentation, for how to resolve complex issues such as we have here in this ticket. So here again, some mock data. We have the same ticket that we have categorized just now. And we have a whole bunch of comments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 comments that our team had resolving this piece. And what we now set up as a system is pretty simple. You're just an assistant to help with support tickets. The user prompt is also very simple. I'm just asking to summarize a ticket history for quick understanding, and I asked to focus on the problem, the key troubleshooting steps, and the final resolution. And then I provide the ticket, and I provide the whole chat history. So I'm basically copy pasting the information here. I'm not doing much more magic. And here is what I get back. I get back the ticket. It's a summary for the ticket with the problem, the steps for the troubleshooting, and the final resolution. Fine, good. Now you could apply your evaluation criteria that you have just seen. We will, since that will be a little bit repetitive, I did not go into that, but I wanted to show you another thing, and that is setting up a system that would help you to write an article for your knowledge base. Here, the system prompt is a little longer, and that is really just so that I define with a little bit more dedication how an article should generally be structured. So here it says that it should have a title. I want to have the symptoms in one section, the cause and the resolution in the following sections, and I give it a little bit of an expectation on how I want to have the style or the tonality. So it should be informative and actionable, use simple language where possible. And with this overall configuration and setup, we can start creating our first prompt or the user prompt in this regard. And here I have the instruction first. So based on the following resolve support ticket, please draft a knowledge base article for Sphere CRM product documentation. The target audience is Sphere CRM users and internal support agents. And then we just attach the ticket, the history, and the summary that we have created in the step beforehand. And what we get out of it is the whole article. Also, in the structure as we have instructed in the system prompt, we have the title, there is the symptoms, the cause, resolution, and the prevention. It would be too much to go into the details of it, but I think you get the main gist out of it. So we got right what we wanted. To conclude, I want to highlight that it is usually an iterative workflow. So writing your first prompt, you generate some response, you need to evaluate, is it good enough? Do you want to improve? And you take that decision as you analyze the metrics or see whether, to what extent it is good enough. You adjust the prompt, you generate responses again, and you evaluate. Pretty generic, iterative workflow that helps you to systematically assess and improve your prompts on both input and output. And that is for the day. So to recap a little bit, we have looked at finding right use cases. I mean, we had a total of 6 times 3, 18 use cases in this regard. We understood how to decide what use case could make sense. Prototyping, we looked into it. We had a bunch of demonstration, and we even had a little bit of an understanding on how to evaluate these prototypes as we look into it. And yeah, I guess also the guys from Sphere are happy because they can now understand a little better how to support their user base, even if it's complicated, even if there are some advanced features, even if customers want to have the coolest customization or troubleshooting is required, or if it's just some repetitive, low complexity task. And that is it. Thank you for listening and giving me all your attention. Soraya, gonna take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ziggy. That was really, really interesting. So I think that that's where the data is also sitting, customer service and the ticketing. So I'm so happy that we discussed about it today because I also learned a lot. And that's all for today. So again, a little reminder that we will have another session next week at the same time, which is 5 p.m. Berlin time, and it's going to be Gen AI in software development. So therefore, I will close the session for today, and I will open the session for Q&A. Thank you so much.